So this is VU3 Echo Sierra Vector here. So today I'm going to talk about the Log4OM software. This is one of the famous logging software available for the Windows system. It's absolutely free, and here is the website of Log4OM. So it has different versions available, including the latest version is a 2.2.4, which was released on 3rd March. And to download the software, you need to go to the download link. Here there are two versions available. One is the general release with 2.4.0, and another is a portable version, mainly for portable operations. And once you are done with the portable operation, you will be able to export the ADI file and import it into the main software. So today I'll be talking about how to install the Log4OM, how to configure it along with your radio, how to set up other QSO confirmations, so how to integrate with other softwares like the TQSL for LOTW, and how to upload logs into the club log as well as into the QRZ log. In case if you are using any QSL, you can I'll cover that as well. Okay, so coming to the integration, installation and integration of radio into the software, into this Log4OM software, I'll try to demonstrate how to install it into a Windows system and how to configure it. So I'll be switching to a different PC because my current PC has Log4OM configured for my shack. So from the interest of time, I have downloaded the software and kept it in this local folder. So first I will begin with the installation of the software. So I'll run this as an administrator here, and I'll select the language as English here. And before I begin to installation, this is a purely Windows supported software, and you need either a Windows 7 or a higher PC. So that means it works from Windows 7 onwards, so Windows 8 and Windows 10 without any trouble. So if you're trying to install it in Windows XP, it might not work because the background it is using a .NET framework version 4.6 or higher, and Microsoft has not supported this .NET framework in the Windows XP operating system. So in a nutshell, you need a PC with Windows 7 or higher versions. So let's begin the installation part. So here you will see who is the developer. It is Italy Whiskey 3 Hotel Mike Hotel, and Daniele Pistolo. He is the main developer of Log4OM software, and a couple of other international hams testing it. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead with the steps here. I'll accept the license agreement and go ahead with the next. So this is the default path where it is going to install, so you can click next. This main thing you need to note here is the Log4OM installation package contains OmniRig installation as well. So Log4OM as a software, it is not talking to the radio directly. It uses the OmniRig as a mediator to talk to the radio. So OmniRig is a separate software, and you need to install it during the installation of Log4OM. So I'll check this OmniRig installation. So if you are installing it in the first time in your PC, it is important to install the OmniRig. Or say, for example, if you are upgrading the Log4OM, then it may not be necessary unless there is a change in the OmniRig software. So I'll go ahead and click next. So this will create the name of the software will be Log4OM next generation, because it's the version 2 of the software. So if you want to create a desktop shortcut, click on this create desktop shortcut, and rest of the things just follow the default options. So here it is going to install the Log4OM in my PC, and once it is done, it will show you what all the new things added in this version. So if you are interested to look into this, you will understand what all the new things added into the software and what all the bugs fixed in that. But for a normal user, this is not much important. So I'll finish with the Log4OM installation and continue with the OmniRig setup. So here, once I click next, the OmniRig will be installed without anything, so it doesn't have any configuration at this time. So here, the Log4OM is installed and it is launching. Since I have configured it for the very first time, you need to create the program settings, so you can check for the updates automatically, and you can send the statistics to the developer site, and if there are some bugs or if there are some discrepancies, the software is designed to send its statistics back to the developer site. If you are not sure whether you need to send the statistics back to the developer site, you can uncheck it. Okay. So yeah, the first one is to create a user configuration. By default, it will create a configuration ID, and you can give a description here. So next one is the station configuration. So I have tried this one time in my PC, so that's why the data is available. So the first and foremost part is to give a station call sign. So in this case, it is my call sign, and the default region will be region 1, but since we are in region 3, we have to select region 3 here, and select the country here. So then once you select the country, the ITU zone will be automatically updated. So I will set it back to India, so that you can see the ITU zone is 41 and the CQ zone is 22. Now the station grid square, we have to set it up. In my case, it is MK82UX. So then once I enter, it will automatically update the map, and it will point to the location, including the short path and long path distance. Also, it is important to configure the operator call sign and the owner call sign. If you are associated with any clubs or associations, you will be able to add. So here is a couple of lists. Say for example, if you are a part of a straight K contesters club or some other clubs, so you can select and add this membership number. And it's important to configure your session details, your name, your address. So this will be used during your QSO's confirmation, or it will be part of the QSO record. Next one is to go ahead with the references. So if you are trying to create DXCC reference, I think this is not so important at the moment. So let's come back to the station configuration first. So, here you can configure your rig. So what's your rig, and what is the TX power, and what's the antenna. So this information will be used along with the QSO data. So when you are uploading some data into the club log or into the qrz.com, so this whatever information you set here, it will be updated part of the QSO entry. Okay. So coming to the confirmations, so by default you can select whatever QSL methods available. For example, if you are configuring an LOTW, so here you select LOTW, and what will be the default the state of the QSO when it is sent, when you log a QSO into the logbook. So for example, by default it will be requested, so you can select it as no. Then when you are looking through the log entries and figuring out which are all the QSOs you send it to LOTW, you will be able to figure identify which are all the QSLs, the QSOs you have sent to LOTW. Also, you can mark, or you can set it as a default. So when you create a QSO, when you log a QSO, this will be the default data for the LOTW columns. And next part is to configure a database. So here The Log4OM supports two kind of databases. One is an SQLite and the other one is a MySQL. So if you are selecting MySQL, so you need to specify a MySQL address and a database name, username and password and a port. So I have not tried this option. Most of the time I have used SQLite. So if you think you already have an SQLite DB from Log4OM V1, it is not compatible with the V2. So you should not select that SQLite V1. So it is important to create a new one and select it here. So I have already created a log. So I'm gonna select it as V2 new. Save it. The database is created and it's opened already. Sorry, you don't need to open it. If you have already created a database, you can open it. Otherwise, if you want to check the connection with the database and the software, you can test it here. So if there is any problem with communicating with the database, you will get an error here. So next thing is to configure the external services. That means if you have a QRZ.com account and if you have a paid subscription, you will get an API key and you will be able to upload the QSOs automatically to the QRZ.com. If you don't have a paid subscription, you will still have an API key, but the QRZ.com rejects your QSO upload. You don't have any permission to automatically upload the QSOs. So again, it depends upon the user who is going to use this software. So some may have a QRZ subscription, say for example it's an XML subscription or a full subscription. In both the cases, you will be able to upload the QSOs to the QRZ.com. Next one is a club log. So if you have a club log account, it will have a call sign as your login entry, and you have a password and an email associated with that club log account. So you need to configure those data, and once you click on this automatic upload, so the moment you log a QSO into the club log, the data will be uploaded to the club log. Next is the HRD lognet. Many people are using HRD lognet so that you will be able to show the live status of your HRD lognet. Has some features like there we can view whether you are already active in the band and on which frequency kind of things. So many people are using this HRD lognet and many are uploading the QSOs to HRD lognet as well. So it's important to configure the username and upload code related to the HRD lognet. So for more information, you go to the HRD lognet website, and there are steps how to upload a QSO in the HRD lognet. Also, if you upload if you select the automatic upload for a new QSO, the Log4OM will automatically upload your new QSO entries into the HRD lognet. And like I said, HRD log shows whether you are already on air or not. So this Log4OM will be able to send this information to the HRD lognet. So if you wish to show your on air status in the HRD lognet, you need to check this checkbox. Many are using the EQSL for QSO confirmations. So EQSL needs a username and password and a QTH nickname. So it's nothing but whatever you need to log, whatever you need to access the EQSL website, the same information you need to log it. You need to set it here so that once the QSO is logged into the Log4OM, and the software itself will automatically upload according to the user preferences. Of course, you need to select this checkbox if you wish to upload the QSO automatically to the EQSL. And HAM-QTH I have not tried yet. This seems to be another way to upload the QSOs. So like in the fields, you need to key in the username and password and the call sign. So once you set these things, Log4OM will upload the QSOs to that HAM-QTH. The last one is the LOTW. So LOTW uses a TQSL.exe to sign your QSO records before sending it to to the LOTW website. So the Log4OM make use of the TQSL software to sign the QSOs before uploading to the LOTW. But based on your configuration here, the Log4OM will trigger that action. So it will create an ADIF record with whatever the data you are supposed to upload to the LOTW and pass it to the TQSL for signing, and once it is signed, the data will be uploaded to the LOTW according to your preferences. So for the LOTW users, you need to set up your username and password here, and you need to set the TQSL path here. Since I have not set the TQSL path in this PC, I'll not be able to show it, but I have a working system where everything is configured. Before ending the demo, I'll show this again, where to locate this TQSL and if there is a temporary path. So these things are optional, but you need to have the station ID which is equivalent to what you configured in the TQSL software. And if you have set a private password for the TQSL, you need to enter it here, otherwise you will not be able to upload the QSOs to LOTW. And of course you can select your call sign, this is an optional. So once you select this automatic upload on close, what Log4OM will do is, say you might have logged say 100 QSOs in the Log4OM, but you have not uploaded into LOTW. But here once you select this option, when you close the Log4OM, it will automatically upload the QSOs to the LOTW website. So here you need to select which are all the QSOs with this status has to be sent to LOTW. Like I said in the earlier part, so by default what has to be set for the LOTW status. So earlier I have set no as the status. So when the LOTW upload is happening from Log4OM during its closure, it will check which are all the QSOs with no status as the LOTW. For the LOTW sent field, those QSOs will be uploaded to the LOTW. So when it comes to user preferences, you can have a preference on different bands. So if you wish to operate only on a band, so you can select it, otherwise you can leave it to the software. Or if you wish to work only on particular modes, you can select it. So it's up to the user preferences. So coming to the software configuration, there are many things like clusters. So cluster, you can you have to configure a cluster if you want to get alerts from a cluster. So and once you start the Log4OM, if you want to start the cluster connection automatically, you need to set it. And the Log4OM in this new version, it has a cluster server kind of thing, which will be like kind of a broadcasting the data back to some other softwares. I have not explored much in that area, and I will not be able to give much input in that. But here, if you wish to connect to a cluster, and if you wish to connect to the cluster automatically, you need to allow this checkbox. And here are many color settings. Based on which country you have not worked, if there is a cluster entry for that country, you will get it in this color selector. So it's all up to the user preferences, or you can leave it with the default settings. And here you can configure some sort of alert, like if there is a particular station coming, so you will get a particular sound from your PC, then it's kind of an alert for the user, so that something else is something new is coming in the cluster window. So coming to the info providers, say for example, if you key in a user name, a ham's call sign, so if you wish to know from which country this call sign is from, or what is his name, all sort of things, you can use this info providers. So one is a qrz.com, the other one is a hamqth.com. So because these websites hold a lot of data related to the call signs, including their name, including their QTH, which country, and grid square, etc. So if you wish to configure the QRZ.com as the primary source, you need to select it and you need to key in your QRZ.com's username and password. Once you key in your username and password, and you can check whether the connection is to this website is working fine or not. So once you set this one, the Log4OM will be able to get that information from the QRZ.com and upload and show it in the appropriate fields. I will demo that part when I'm going to show the main UI. So you can set the main external source as a QRZ.com or AMQTH or QRZCQ.com. But depends upon the internet connection. It might take some time to fetch the data from the QRZ.com or any other info provider and update the appropriate fields in the software. So coming to the configuration part. So if you have a club log database, you can use that club log database for the data, and not configured anything in this area. I think I left the default settings, and I hope for most of the users the default options are good enough. Then here you can select a world map, and it will show which area this call sign belongs to whenever you key in a call sign. You can choose different world maps according to your preference. It is done, but the color is going to change. Or if you have a map picture, you can use your own custom picture, but I've used the default world map. For me it was working fine. So next thing is to configure the backup. So in case if the software crashes or something, whatever you logged as a QSO should not be lost. So you can configure the backup interval and backup folder here. So if you wish to configure additional backup, say if you want to configure the data in a cloud storage or something, you will be able to do it. So the backup folder could be my cloud storage drive mapped to your local PC. But I left this to the default backup. And next one is a VOA cap integration. So this will show you the propagation data from the current QTH to a particular target. So this will give a little bit more analysis on the propagation, and when the propagation will be good in a particular band. This kind of data can be analyzed from the VOA cap information. So if you wish to start certain softwares along with Log4OM, you can use this auto start option. So here you need to specify a particular file name here. Say for example, if you wish to start some software, you need to go to that particular exe and set it, and you can select a singleton or a kill flag. The singleton means only one instance of the software will be launched irrespective of how many times you launch the Log4OM. And here one important thing you have to note down here is, so this will only start the Log4OM V2 version. It has only a plan on profile open. So that means it will be able to start a software during the starting of Log4OM. It will not kill that software. It will not close that software. So you have to do it manually. So next thing is to the hardware configuration. If you have an audio device, you can configure it here. Say for example, if you have a USB connection to the radio, and if you wish to send some recorded messages to the radio, say for example, if you have a recorded CQ call, you can use that. You can use the Log4OM to send this recorded audio to the radio upon pressing this function key. So here it is configured as Control F1 and Control F2, so you can have multiple recorded audios, and you can use it. So this is useful when you are in a contest but sometimes if you are in a long DX session, you might be able to use this recorded audios. The next part is the CAT interface program. So here it allows the user to communicate from your radio to the Log4OM. So the CAT engine you need to select. So here by default there are two CAT engines available. One is a Hamlet and the other one is an OmniRig. I will configure the OmniRig and demonstrate how to use OmniRig with your radio and how to get this information to the Log4OM. So if there is a delay in the CAT settings or in the between CAT commands, if it has to have some sort of delay, you have to configure it here, because it depends upon which radio you are using. Some old radios might not be accepting the data speed which is coming from the PC. So in that case it is important to set the relay. So also you can use key from your keyboard if you are using the Log4OM and that is the active software selected. The moment you press this / key, the radio will go to the PTT. It's all happening through the CAT system. So you don't need to press your foot switch. You can simply press the key you configure here for the radio to transmit. So there are other options like invert SSP side, CW. I have not configured anything in this one. I left these options as it is. Also the CAT control, here you can select how the frequency display has to be there, in which color it has to be there. So here I have left the main colors as it is, and you can have decimal colors into a different decimal part into a different color. It's up to the user preference. So if you want to disconnect the CAT system when Log4OM is going to close, so you need to select. Sometimes the OmniRig will be shared between different applications, so in that case you don't need to select this option. Yeah, so this is the software integration part. So here we are having different options to allow many applications to push data from especially when it comes to contest and all. You will be using N1MM or DX log, and so these softwares can push the new log entries as an ADIF format into a UDP port, and Log4OM can listen to a UDP port, and it will be able to log that QSOs whatever broadcasted from N1MM into your logging system. So you don't need to export the ADIF file from the N1MM and import it into the Log4OM. So it can all happen in parallel. So I will explain this part with my current configuration from a different system. So if you have a rotator like a PST rotator or a Yasu rotator with COM control, so you can configure it, and you need to send the you need to configure this rotator settings here as well. So I am not using an antenna rotator with so the PC communication, so I don't have any option to do it this part. So this is the ADIF function. Unlike the UDP port, so this Log4OM can look into a certain files and see if there is a new log entry into this file, and if so, the Log4OM will be able to import that log entry into its database. So this is applicable when you are logging, when you are using a WSJTX or JTDX for the FT8 or FT4 modes. So the FT4, whatever QSOs logged into the FT8 or FT4 modes, these softwares JTDX as well as the WSJTX, it will be logging into an ADIF file. So you can select that ADIF file here, and the log4om will automatically monitor those changes happening in that file, and as soon as there is a new QSO entry logged from the JTDX or WSJTX, it will be automatically uploaded to the log4om as well. So here it's kind of a seamless integration between other softwares, so that user need not export the software ADIF data and import it into the log4om. So the option, if you configure these options once for all, then once you are having a QSO with WSJTX, you don't need to export and import it in the log4om. It will automatically taken care by the software itself. So there are other applications supported. So if you have a FLDG software, then you can have this its instance and FLDG instance port configured here, and whatever the data coming from this FLDG will be automatically imported into the log4om. So I have not configured this FLDG or worked on that area, so I'm leaving this part. So, but this is pretty much straightforward. If you go through the FLDG's documentation, then you will get the data. Or if there is a there is a very good manual from Log4OM in terms of the user as a user guide, and these sections are very well explained there. Okay. Also, if you want to import the QSOs from a JT message, so if you are using a JT alert or a kind of thing, then you can configure it here. Now the situation is like the JTDX or WSJTX can automatically broadcast the data of the QSO data into an UDP port, and it can be automatically imported into the log4om. But if you are using a JT alert or using the old version of JTDX or WSJTX, JTDX is a kind of bridge. Sorry, the JT alert is a kind of bridging software which will broadcast the data to the logging software. So in that case, you may need to configure this option. So once you set all these things, you need to save the configuration and or save and apply. Once you click save and apply, this will the UI will close. So for now, I'm not going to save anything because this is a pretty much new installation. So here is the main window, as you see. So once you click, this is the key in the call sign entry field, and here you can select your send RST, and here you can enter whatever the RST report you received from the other side. So let's switch to the other PC where I have a Log4OM configured. Okay, so here is the Log4OM configured. Sorry for this red call sign because I'm recording this. Yeah, this is the main window of the Log4OM, and so here once you enter the call sign, so once you enter the call sign, the software will automatically fetch the data from the QRZ.com page and update the operator name here. Okay. Now if you look at this one, the handle of VU2 Oscar Yankee is updated here. It is fetched from the QRZ.com and updated here. Since I am not a paid subscriber for the QRZ.com, so it is not updating the grid square. Otherwise it will update the grid square as well. Okay, so here you have an option to view whether you have worked with this call sign earlier or not. So in this case, if you go to this tab or key in the F10 in your keyboard, so it will show how many times you have worked with this call sign and in which bands you have worked. All data will be shown here. So otherwise, this is the main view where you can see where is my location and where is this call sign's location. So if, for example, if I key in a DX call sign. So this is a Spanish call sign, and it will show in the map where this call sign station is located, and in the map view it will show how far it is as well. So if you look at here, this is about 8,287 kilometers from my location. So depending upon your grid square, it will vary. So here you will get an idea on how far the station is, and yeah. Okay, so coming to the next tab. So this is the main log entry. So here you will be able to see how many QSOs you had in the past and which countries, all these details. So here if you look into the LOTW received field, I have requested the LOTW for all these logs, but from my side I have sent this LOTWs. So this QSO details to LOTW, so that's why it's all yes. If I have not sent it, so it will be either requested or no, depending upon what was my default configuration. So if you look into the other entries, you can see that the QSOs I made in the past are sent to the club log, but one entry is not sent to the club log, maybe because of some internet traffic or internet connection lost at that time. So since I have not configured the qrz.com or hamqth, it is showing the default status. So coming to the next tab, this is the cluster. So here it will show the cluster entries coming for this band. Since I have configured the filters here for the mode as well as for the band of my interest, so it will show the cluster entries for the 40-meter band. If you wish to have cluster entries from all the bands, so you can uncheck these filters and you can uncheck these modes. Also, if you have integrated to the rotator or the antenna, then you can set the current path here, beam path here. Also, you can configure what all things you need to show it in this view. So if I unselect, if I don't want to have a LOTW call signs who are active in LOTW, I can unselect it. For now, I'm selecting all. I can hide this view as well. Okay. So next one is the propagation part. This is the data coming from the VU cap, and you can see the signal to noise ratio at different times interval for a different band. And if you wish to see the raw data, so you can do it here. And coming to the propagation part, if you wish to look into the propagation in a particular band, so you can generate the view here. And it will take some time, so which area is active at the moment from my location. So these are all for analysis as well as for effective use of radio. So you can beam to a particular direction based on the propagation. So like I explained earlier, this will show how many times I had a QSO with this particular station. So if you look into the log, I had a QSO with a EA3 HSO in 20 meter 3 times, and one time with his 4 extra stroke call sign when they were working in a DX expedition. Okay, so now I will explain a bit more into the settings area one more time, so that everyone will be able to visualize what all that data to be configured. So I have not set anything into the program scheduler, so it will have some settings to update the solar data at a particular interval, solar image graphic at a particular interval. If you have to update the city files, at what interval you need to update it, and HRD log online, at what interval it has to update it, upload a QSO, at what interval it has to upload it. So everything can be configured and customized according to the user needs. For me, I have not configured anything specific for my requirements. I have used the default settings and it is working well for me. Coming to the station information. Yes, so here I have configured my call sign, IARU region, my address, and my locator, operator call sign, and owner call sign. Since I am not associated with any of the clubs, I have not updated these fields. If a particular user is member of a particular club in this list, can update it. I have not configured this award part. And coming to the station configuration, I was using a Sun SDR2 Pro and a hex beam as my antenna and my primary radio, and these things are set here. Regarding to the confirmation, so I have set LOTW the default information to be requested for the send as well as received. I will explain when I'm going through the LOTW how to upload the QSOs from LOT to LOTW from the Log4OM. Yeah, the database is set here. This was explained earlier, and to the external services. So even though I have configured the API key, but I have not uploaded. I have not selected the automatic upload because I don't have a paid subscription to the QRZ.com. Whoever has a paid subscription, they can get the API key and select this. Coming to the LOTW, I have configured this username and password and the TQSL path. So it is important to install the TQSL.exe. It can be downloaded from the LOTW website. It's a free software. You need to set up this TQSL. You need to go through its user manual to set up this TQSL.exe. You need to key in your LOTW password, the station call sign, and operator call sign on associated data. So that I'm not going to explain here, but if you are a LOTW user and you have a TQSL setup in the PC, you need to map that data here. Also important to set what you are selected as the default status for the LOTW. And for the club log, so like I have set here, you need to enter the call sign and this password and the email address. I am not user of a HRD lognet or EQSL, so I have not configured those things. I have not set any user preferences here apart from this delayed upload. So it's like it will not block the current QSO entries if this delayed upload is set. If the upload is in progress and if you are trying to key in some call signs, so it might take a while to update that data. But if you select this delayed upload, the QSO upload will be happening with a low priority, and whatever the QSO data you are going to enter, it will have the highest priority. Yeah, coming to the cluster, I've set this cluster auto start and server auto start option, and show the cluster in a group format. And in the cluster configuration, I don't want to have a number of experimental clusters to be shown, so I have selected the stable clusters which are active, like a Victor Echo 7 Charlie something similar. So regarding the info providers, I have set the QRZ.com as an info provider and provided my username and password. In map settings, I have used this alternate map and this backup. All are default settings. Even the VUI cap I have explained, so it just enabled the VUI cap. And for the auto start, I am some other softwares along with the Log4OM. So those softwares are set to start along with the Log4OM. And regarding the audio devices, I've not tried this option even though this is available. So I'm not using this function keys to send the recorded messages. And when it comes to the CAT interface, this is important. I'm selected the OmniRig as the CAT interface, and these options are unselected, and switch to digital mode when it is required. Say for example, if I'm in the RTTY mode, I have to select the digital mode in the radio. Since I'm using some other softwares along with my radio, so I have unselected this OmniRig, disconnect the CAT part. And the main color I have chosen was red, and the decimal colors I fluorescent green. Also, I have enabled the PTT key, and the default key is the backward slash. The moment I press the backward slash here, my radio will transmit. And coming to the inbound UDP connections, so I have set the UDP connections from N1mm as well as from JTDX. So the N1mm will broadcast the QSOs into 12060 port, and the Log4OM is configured to listen to this port. So how to set it up? So you need to first configure the broadcast in N1mm or the DX log. In my case, I use the DX log net or N1mm. So even the DX log net is also configured to broadcast the ADIF data into the same port. So both of the software will not be running together. So I don't need to add another entry in this UDP inbound connection. So it will be using the same port. And okay, when it comes to adding a new inbound UDP port, you need to enter the port number which you configured in either N1mm or in the DX log, and you can name a connection, and the service type will be N1mm message or an ADIF message. When it comes to N1mm, it will be an N1mm message. Okay, so like N1mm, the JTDX is also able to push data into a particular port when you are when you are done with an FT8 QSO. So the JTDX is configured to broadcast this ADIF messages to 233 port, and N1mm, the Log4OM is listening to that port. The moment JTDX logs a QSO into its DB, it will broadcast this data into the 2333 port, and the Log4OM will get the same data and it will log it into DB. So this is kind of a seamless integration with other softwares. Also, if you want to broadcast your data into a particular PC where you have some other logging software, so for example, if you have a Mac PC where you are setting up Log4 Mac or some other logging software which runs in the Mac's operating system, or say for example, if you have a RUM log configured in a Mac, and if you wish to synchronize between Log4OM and the RUM log, you can create an UDP outbound and set the PC number where the RUM log is configured and the port. So the moment there is a QSO logged into the Log4OM's database, it will broadcast the same into this particular port, the UDP outbound port, and the other logging software will be able to get that data and log it in its database. So for a normal user, this is not important, but when it comes to a contesting, if you don't want to export all the data from the N1mm or the DX log and import it into the Log4OM, these options are very much useful. So apart from this UDP inbound and outbound settings, there is a UDP proxy as well. So it's kind of a proxy settings where you kind of an aggregator where all the softwares can broadcast into a particular port, and the proxy will take care of that logging. I have not configured it because for me this inbound traffic is more than enough to handle this softwares. And I have not used this remote control port mainly to control the logging software from a remote system. So it is possible that a different Log4OM instance is there in a different PC, and you would like to control this current instance from that PC. So you can configure this based on the needs, but for as I said, for a normal user this is not required. Yeah, this antenna rotator, I don't have anything to say. If you are using a PSD rotator, you can configure it and have this connections. Yeah, I think yes, this is related to the antenna control as well. I think the remote control is used to control the Log4OM from remotely as well. But I may be wrong in that. I have not configured in these things. Into the antenna rotator. Yeah, you need to, depending upon which rotator you are using, you may have to configure it according to its settings. So the ADIF functions, like I said earlier, this JTDX is logging the data in this particular file, and I have configured this to listen that particular file from Log4OM. If the moment there is a QSO entry in this file, Log4OM will automatically import that data into its database. Since I am using this UDP inbound traffic, I have not configured it. Sometimes a UDP port might be blocked depending upon what kind of antivirus software you are using, and if the ports are not configured in it, it is possible that the UDP port might be blocked. So in that case, if you don't know how to resolve this one, you can use this ADIF functions to import the QSOs automatically from the JTDX or WSJT package into the Log4OM. And same case for the ADIF output. I'm not configured it. Probably if any user is interested, it will be good to look into the user manual and figure out what it is. But I'll move on to the next one. I've not configured the FLDG and the WSJTX. If I made some configuration changes, I would probably save it or save and apply. The moment I save and apply, this window will be closed. Since I have not saved anything, I'm just exiting it. Okay, so next one is the telnet cluster. So here is the cluster window. So here you can specify. So in my system, I've configured the cluster list, so it is automatically connected to Victor Echo 7 Charlie Charlie is cluster. So how to configure it, that's in a separate window. I'll explain that. So if you look at this one, it is already connected to the Victor Echo 7 Charlie Charlie cluster, and it's getting the updates from that cluster. And if you want to send a port to that cluster, I can send it from this one. The internal server is started, but I have not configured anything here. And here is the cluster configuration. So these are the available non-cluster servers, which are kind of a stable cluster servers. So you can choose whichever cluster server you want to connect. So I have configured a primary cluster server as Victor Echo 7 Charlie Charlie, and once I save it and select it to automatically start, it will, the moment I start Log4OM, cluster connection will be established, and will get the spots from the cluster. If you wish to disconnect, you can disconnect from this window. So next one is to update. Okay, so before going to the update resources, I would like to show how to confirm a QSL using LOTW, how to upload it to the LOTW, or how to upload it to the club log. Like I said earlier, if you have configured the club log inputs properly, the username and password and the call and the email IDs, so the Log4OM can automatically upload the QSOs to club log. Otherwise, if you wish to do it manually, there is an option called the QSL manager. So here you need to specify what kind of QSL you are going to do, whether it's an EQSL or a LOTW or a club log upload. It's up to the end user. So for me, I have mainly using the LOTW for my QSL confirmation. So here I will choose LOTW as the confirmation method, and here I can select my is there any QSOs in my list which are in the requested state. So those are kind of not uploaded to the LOTW. So if I have a QSO which is there in the requested state, I have to choose this send checkbox which are in the requested state. Then those entries will appear here, and for time being I will not be able to show that because all the QSOs are uploaded to LOTW. But for the understanding of so it will be, the status will be in the send column will be in the requested for the status in the send column will be instead of yes, it will be requested, and the moment I select send as requested, so these entries will be there. I just need to select all and say upload. Okay, so here since I don't have any QSOs pending for LOTW upload, it's empty. And so for example, if I click the upload, there is another window going to pop up, so which will requested here. I think all the QSOs are requested, so it's not going to send anything. So once you click the upload selected QSO, there will be another window pop up where you will be able to upload the QSOs to LOTW, and in that window it will show the logs related to LOTW upload, whether it is successful or whether it's failed, kind of things. Okay, so coming to the downloading confirmation from LOTW or from EQSL or from any other sites like QTH or HRD log. So the process is not the same. Okay, regarding the upload, so I will show you how to download the QSOs. So in my case, the confirmation type is LOTW. I selected LOTW, and you can check a date range or based on last download. So since I am downloading regularly, I have selected the last download. So whatever new QSOs confirmed since my last download, everything will be downloaded here. The upload window is also looks somewhat similar. Instead of that, the down arrow, it will be an up arrow with upload. So how to download it? Just click this one. So it will use the the tqsl.exe to download the confirmation from LOTW. If you look into this one, there are 3 QSOs confirmed since my last download. The one is from European Russia, the second one is from Namibia, and third one is from Italy. And which band it is confirmed, you will get that. So once this is downloaded, the software will automatically update the fields in the QSO. So for example, if you are if you've missed something, I can show you the club log upload. Since I missed to upload one QSO from club log. I can select the club log. If there is any QSO with the requested status, it will appear here. Yeah, there are few QSOs with the requested status. So what I will do, I will select this one, upload. Then upload. Once I upload, it will upload this 77 QSOs to the club log entry. So even for LOTW also the process is somewhat similar. Here it is a direct upload to the club log website, but for the LOTW it uses the TQSL to sign the ADI files and upload it to the LOTW. It's more secure. So here the logs are pretty much simple. It is saying how 77 QSOs are not uploaded to the club log, and it is uploading now. And where the file upload is accepted and queued to the club log upload system, and club log upload is in. And close this one. Again, if you wish to upload your QSOs to the QRZ.com, and if you don't have a paid subscription, QRZ.com still allows upload of ADIF files. So in that case, you probably need to export your QSO details into an ADIF file and import it in the QRZ.com webpage. So here is a tool in the Log4OM software called a QSO manager. So here you can specify update. If you want to update a certain QSOs, you can update it in this field, or if you want to export the ADIF files, for example, I can select from say for example from 1st of April to 10th of April. So how many QSOs are there? If I want to export this into an ADI file, I can use this option, and so of course you need to select all and say export ADI file. It will allow user to specify which is your file name. You have to select a file name, and it will export the ADI file into that particular file, the QSO details into that particular file. So you can save it into this ADI file, and you can go back to the QRZ.com page and import this ADI file. So if you wish to export into a CSV file for some sort of analysis, you can export it into using this option. Okay, so coming to I think I have covered a telnet cluster, and next one is a band map. So this is nothing but a summary window according to the cluster, based on the cluster sports and based on the frequency you selected. So this will be helpful for users to figure out how many people are there in the band and on which frequency they are calling. And if you double click a certain entry in the cluster, so it will automatically come here, and if you have an antenna rotator configured, then it will automatically turn to that particular short path or long path based on your configuration. Yeah. So next one is the CAT interface. So since I have selected OmniRig as the CAT interface, so this is the main UI in the OmniRig. So OmniRig has some INI files for each rig. Depending upon which rig you are using, you need to select. In my case, it is a TS990. So I have an option to select this TS990 as a radio, for the primary radio, and my radio is connected to the COM16, and the baud rate according to my radio settings is applied here. So my second radio is an expert SDR, Sun SDR2. So here is the rig type as expert SDR2, depending upon whether it's an ICOM 7300 or ICOM 756 Pro 3 or a 7200 or whatever radio you are using. You need to have that rig type, or you have to upload the rig.ini file from this OmniRig website. So there are pre-configured rig.ini files for most of the radios, and if you are using an old Kenwood type, there is a Kenwood option. Other than this particular models from Kenwood, there is a Kenwood option which is used with all the Kenwood radios which are pretty slower. So this is for the OmniRig settings. So once you configure this OmniRig, the frequency from your radio will be coming to the Log4OM through this OmniRig. So if I change my frequency, if I change the dial in my radio, it will automatically appear in this log entry. Okay, so the Log4OM is capable of supporting two radios with the two VFOs. In this case, my primary radio connected is a TS990 and its VFO A is at 7.168 megahertz, and the VFO B is on 20 meter band. So that information is shown here. And since I have not connected my second radio, it is not showing here. So if you wish to switch to a second radio, then you just need to select the second radio. Since I have not connected it, it is showing as offline. So if I switch back to my first radio, it will appear here. Okay, so there are other utilities also available here. Now the next one is award manager. So if you wish to select certain awards like LOTW confirmation or a DXCC confirmation, or many awards are configured here. Depending upon which award you are targeting, you can select that particular award and see where are you in terms of confirmations, where are you in terms of countries, how many countries are left out, sort of things. So I have selected the DXCC as award here, and award type as DXCC. Confirmation is LOTW in terms of for the DXCCs. I can import a file into this one and see where am I in terms of awards. This is mainly on the configuration. I have not configured much in that part. If I were to update the IOTA or SOTA update, I will be able to do it. So this is mainly to configure awards. So if you wish to import certain awards which is not there in this settings, you can import it. So I am not going to configure anything in this view. So next one is a logbook printing. If you wish to print the QSO's logbook part, you can use this option. I have not configured these things, but most of the QSL confirmation for me, it's happening through the LOTW, so I'm not using any paper QSL. Okay, so it has a contest mode as well, but it is not fully supported like the N1MM or the DX log. So it's kind of a lightweight version of contest log. You can configure the contest here in this contest settings, select which contest you want to participate, and there are a couple of contests already pre-configured, and once you select, tomorrow it's going to be Log4OM contest. not there. But for example, if it's a Oceania and DX SSB, yeah, here it is, the Log4OM contest. It's happening tomorrow, and if I have to send a particular string, this is my entry if I'm using a worldwide contest, or if I have to auto generate certain numbers, so I can use this. So once I save it, my contest window, then I go to the contest. So here I'll be able to key in, and the data will be saved to the log. The grid part, I think I have not enabled the contest log, that's why it is. But whoever wish to use this Log4OM for contesting, you have to configure this data. Okay, so here is the award statistics. So based on my configuration earlier, so I can see which award I have received. If it's a VUCC or a VAS kind of thing, you can select it according to the configuration you set earlier. Okay, I will look into the DXCC and go to the statistics. I can see that how many I worked in a different band, how many are confirmed. In terms of LOTW confirmation, I worked on 126 stations in 40-meter band, and I got 110 stations confirmed. 110 countries, sorry, not the station, 126 countries I worked, and 110 stations are confirmed in 110 countries are confirmed in LOTW for 40-meter band. So same case with 20-meter and the other bands. So depending upon which user you are, and depending upon the data in the logbook, this will show a summary on how many countries you worked, and how many are confirmed, and in which band it is confirmed, all sort of things. Okay, so I think I forgot to talk about WinKey here. So this LOTW, so the Log4OM supports WinKey here as well. So if you have a WinKey here connected to your radio, you will be able to use this view to send a CW using the WinKey here. Yeah, in my case, I have a SO2R box from the Yankee Clipper Contest Club, the SO2R Plus box, which has a WinKey here built in. So I have configured the WinKey here, which is nothing but the COM port of the WinKey here. So in my case, it is configured as COM6, and rest of the things are set it as default. And the keyer mode I selected as iambic A. Also, these settings I selected to add auto space, and parallel echo is used to see what is sent from the keyer. So there are a couple of macros available. So for example, if you wish to send a test signal, you can configure, and this star will be the call sign of the current station configure. That means my call sign. So it will send CQ. This is Victor Uniform 3 Echo Sierra Victor, Victor Uniform 3 Echo Sierra Victor test in CW mode. So I can configure this F6. The moment I press F6, it will automatically send through the WinKey. Of course, you need to connect this WinKey first. So this is the option. In my case, the WinKey is already available in this particular port. I have once I click the connect button, it will automatically connect. So if I wish to work with a particular call sign, say for example VU2 Oscar Yankee, and here in the main UI, these things are automatically getting updated. let's say I will go back to the WinGear window. If I wish to answer the CW call from VU2 Oscar Yankee, I just need to press F3, then it will automatically send that CW to the radio through WinGear. And these are the macros, default macros available. You will be able to use this in single or as a combination. So if you look at the macros here, so this is the short call and this is the long call. And if I'm trying to answer a certain call sign, say for this tilde sign, this indicates the call sign of VU2 Oscar Yankee, and this star indicates my call sign. So when it is sending the call sign, so it will send like a VU2 Oscar Yankee. This is VU3 Echo Sierra Victor, VU3 Echo Sierra Victor. Yeah. So depends upon whether you have a WinGear or not. These options are applicable. If you are not using a WinGear, or if you are not comfortable with using a WinGear, you probably need not look into these areas. Yeah, so you can see the solar data here. It's fetched from some website, and it's frequently updated here, so it will give you some information on when this band is going to open, and what is the K index, and how many sunspots are there in this period, and what is the prediction regarding the sunspot. So this will be useful if you are planning to do some trying to work with the DX stations. At this part I have already explained propagation for a particular band. If I go to 20 meter and say generate, yeah, so this area is pretty much active. Maybe my interpretation is wrong, but I'm not relying on this data. Anything else I missed? QSO grid, creating the QSO grid. So if you wish to export all the ADIF data, all the log into an ADIF file, you can use this option. Or if you wish to import a certain ADIF file into your log, you can this import ADIF. Say for example, if you have a ADIF file from a previous contest which you have not automatically configured to import, then in that case you may have an ADIF file from the N1MM or the DX log. So those ADIF file can be directly imported to your to the Log4OM using this import ADIF option. And if you wish to execute the backup, you can do this from this option. So there is a pretty much good user guide available in English as well as in some other languages, and it will be interesting for everyone to go through that user guide once before starting to use this Log4OM. Otherwise this is a pretty much useful software, and the most important thing is it's completely free with this many features available. Yeah, I would like to, before winding up this part, I would like to show different UI area. So for example, if you use VU2 Oscar Yankee as the call sign, you might have seen that there are different bubbles here showing different colors. So this indicates that I have worked with a VU call sign in 80 meter band in these modes. It doesn't mean that I have worked with the VU2 Oscar Yankee. So it means that I worked with VU call signs in 40 meter band on all these three modes. No one in VU in the 30 meter band, and I have worked in VU call sign in 20 meter band in all three modes. Right. So for example, if I use another DX call sign EA3HSO, I have worked with Spain in 40 meter band in all three modes, in 20 meter all three modes, in 17 meter only in phone as well as in digital mode, nothing in the CW, and in 15 meter I worked in all three modes with the Spanish stations, and in 12 meter and 10 meter I worked in FT8 mode. So this is kind of a summary where whether I worked in a particular country in a particular mode or not. Yeah, in the F2 part, this will show more details about this station. So what about the data he has configured in the qrz.com, it will be fetched and shown here. I have not configured any awards or anything, so this field is pretty much empty. So here is my station data. If I have configured an antenna rotator and what is the elevation of that antenna, all sort of things will be shown here. So if you are using Log4OM for satellite QSO logs, so then satellite mode can be enabled. I think I've never tried a satellite mode and not configured these settings. So here the extended info, it's EQSL LOTW. If you want to override some certain settings from the default settings for this particular call sign, you can override it, but for now I am not configuring anything. I think that is pretty much all about the Log4OM, and thanks to all.